Welcome to the Deep Dive. We dig through the sources so you don't have to. And today, we're tackling a story that's honestly just wild. It pulls together threads from almost every major conspiracy and paranormal event you can think of from the mid-20th century. We're focusing on one guy.
Fred Crisman,
Yeah.
from Tacoma, Washington, an educator, writer, broadcaster.
Yeah.
But he also called himself a disruption agent.
A disruption agent. Okay, that sounds ominous.
It really is. And that label is, I think, pretty central. Because Crisman, he wasn't just, around for these events. He often seems to be right in the middle, maybe even causing them. A lot of writers call him a nexus point for conspiracies and cover-ups. Our job today is trying to untangle this incredibly dense web around it.
Right. We're going from, believe it or not, alleged battles in underground caves to really early UFO sightings like before Roswell.
Yeah, that's key.
All the way to links with the JFK assassination, and even where the whole Men in Black idea might have come from. We've got encyclopedias, historical accounts, Ken Thomas's book JFK and UFO, even a modern animated film. It's quite a mix.
And the challenge, the really fascinating part, is figuring out, okay, how much of this is actual fact? How much could Crisman maybe embellish or even invent? And what does his whole story tell us about conspiracy theories themselves, how they sprout up and stick around?
Yeah.
It's about asking, what happens when one person seems connected to so many weird, disparate things?
Okay, let's start with the basics. Crisman's early life, born 1919, fighter pilot in World War II.
And decorated, too. Air Medal, Distinguished Flying Cross.
Right. Post-war, he advocates for veterans. Seems pretty standard for a returning hero.
Totally normal trajectory.
Oh,
till it isn't.
Exactly. Because in the mid-40s, his name pops up, not for war heroism, but in Amazing Stories magazine, a pulp magazine.
Yes. And this connects to the whole shaver mystery thing that was huge back then. Amazing Stories was publishing these, fictional tales presented as true accounts.
About ancient races living underground.
Yeah, in huge caverns. Richard Shaver was the main proponent, but readers sent in their own supposed experiences. It was this weird mix of sci-fi and, hidden truth people really latched onto.
And Crisman just dives right in. He starts writing letters, sometimes under a fake name, sometimes not.
And claiming firsthand experience, fighting these subterranean beings he called Deros, detrimental robots, in a cave in Burma during the war.
Wait, Deros. Detrimental robots.
That's what he said. He even claimed you got injured by some kind of futuristic laser weapon down there.
From fighter pilot to battling underground robots with lasers, that's a leap.
It is. And people noticed his first letter, the pseudonymous one, actually got quoted in Harper's Magazine.
That's a serious claim.
No, as an example of a crackpot letter. So it made waves, but maybe not the kind he wanted. Then came a second letter, this time with his real name. He talks about a trip to Alaska where his friend Dick supposedly gets zapped and killed by a ray gun from another cave dweller.
Okay, so the claims are escalating. This sets a pattern, doesn't it?
It really does. Fantastical, unverifiable, and placing himself right at the center of the action.
But it wasn't just underground stuff. A few years later, 1947, he's involved in something that helped launch the whole flying saucer phenomenon.
The Maury Island incident, absolutely critical to the Crisman story and to ufology in general.
And the timing, like you said, is amazing. This is before the Roswell crash everyone knows about.
Over a month before Roswell, and 3 days before Kenneth Arnold's sighting over Mount Rainier, the one that gave us the term flying saucer.
Yeah.
Crisman's incident is right at the dawn of that era.
So what supposedly happened at Maury Island?
Well, the story starts with a guy named Harold Dahl. He's doing marine salvage work near the island. He reports seeing 6 donut-shaped objects just hovering there.
Donut-shaped? Okay.
Yeah. And then he claims one of them drops this hot metallic debris. It hits his boat, injures his son, and tragically kills his dog.
Wow. Okay. And Dahl tells?
His supervisor, Fred Crisman, and boom, Crisman's pulled right into it.
And Crisman doesn't just listen, right? He gets involved.
He does. He claims he went to the scene later, saw a strange aircraft himself, and even collected samples of this debris.
Hey, this is a big but. Many UFO researchers think the whole thing was a hoax, and they often point at Crisman. Why him specifically?
Well, part of it is Dahl eventually recanted the story. But Crisman's track record, with the Deros and everything, it made him seem like someone capable of spinning yarn. He's always at the center of these bizarre tales.
But the story has another layer, right? The really iconic part.
Exactly. The Man in Black. This is huge. Dahl claimed he was visited soon after by this imposing figure dressed all in black, driving a black car.
Okay.
And this man knew, everything about the incident. Details Dahl hadn't even shared widely. And he warns Dahl, basically, keep quiet about this or else, for his family safety.
Chilling. And this is the origin story.
It's widely considered the origin point for the whole Men in Black mythology. That image, the mysterious, threatening figures, silencing witnesses, it starts right here, with Dahl's account connected to Crisman.
Even though Dahl later said it was a hoax.
Yes, but here's the thing. Dahl only recanted after some really bad stuff happened. His business was sabotaged, his son was apparently kidnapped briefly, his wife threatened. The context of that recantation is complicated.
And Crisman.
Crisman stuck to his guns, always maintained it was real. He even spoke about Maury Island at a big UFO convention in 1967.
So a story recanted under duress, but the core image the Man in Black takes off.
Precisely. It taps into something deep, that fear of hidden powers enforcing silence. It becomes this enduring archetype influencing pop culture for decades.
The investigation into Maury Island itself also had a tragic turn.
It did. Kenneth Arnold, the pilot who just had his famous sighting, gets asked by the editor of Amazing Stories, Raymond Palmer, to check out Dahl and Crisman's claims.
Makes sense. Arnold was the UFO guy of the moment.
Right, so Arnold goes up there. 2 Army A2 intelligence officers, a Captain Davidson and Lieutenant Brown, they fly in too. They talk to Crisman, collect some of that debris he supposedly gathered.
And didn't he hand it over in, like, a cereal box?
Yeah, reportedly a Kellogg's cornflakes box, which is just another perfectly weird detail in this whole saga.
So the Army guys get the potential evidence.
And then they take off in their B-25 bomber, presumably heading back to base to get this stuff analyzed. But the plane crashes. Both officers are killed.
And the debris.
Never recovered. Gone.
Okay, that's dark. And inevitably leads to more questions.
Huge questions. Was it just a tragic accident? Or something else? Some sources actually speculate Crisman himself might have sabotaged the plane.
To stop the military from analyzing hoaxed debris or real debris.
That's the question, isn't it? If it was a hoax, why such extreme measures? Who was Crisman protecting? Or if it was real, was he trying to stop the military getting their hands on actual alien tech?
But wait, there was that other theory you mentioned about Boeing? How does that fit? It seems contradictory. Is he hoaxing or covering up for a corporation?
That's a great point. On the surface, they seem like different narratives. But a guy named Michael Reconocido, who knew Crisman later, offered a possible link.
Okay.
Reconocido claimed the Maury Island UFO wasn't alien at all. He said it was actually an experimental aircraft, a secret project being tested by Boeing.
Ah, Boeing, based right there in Washington State.
Exactly. So in this version, Crisman wasn't hoaxing an alien encounter. He was involved in covering up a human secret tech project that maybe went wrong, dropping debris.
So if the plane crash happened...
Then maybe Crisman was involved, not to hide a hoax, but to do damage control for Boeing, to make sure that evidence of a secret human craft disappear along with the investigators.
So either way, he's potentially acting as this disruption agent, just the motive changes.
It could be seen that way, yeah. Whether covering a hoax or covering for industry, he's manipulating the narrative, potentially taking extreme action. It's a very murky picture.
Okay, so we have underground robots, UFOs, Men in Black, a fatal plane crash. Crisman's already packed in a lifetime of weirdness, but his story keeps going.
It does. After these early adventures, he serves in the Korean War, gets university degrees, seems like he's settling down again, becomes a teacher and administrator.
But even that doesn't end normally, does it?
Nope. His teaching career ends with him getting fired. The reasons cited were insubordination and, get this, creating a secret society among his students.
A secret society, it just keeps getting stranger.
It sort of fits that disruption agent idea, doesn't it? Always operating slightly outside the lines, maybe gathering followers, creating little pockets of influence or chaos.
And there were other claims about his activities around this time.
Well, yeah. An FBI informant apparently reported Crisman was involved in transporting large sums of cash, running a diploma mill, fake degrees, and even working as a psychologist, though his credentials were questionable.
And he founded something called the Professional Research Bureau.
He did. Sounds official, but some researchers think it might have been a front, maybe for funneling money, maybe for intelligence work. Some authors flat out suggest he was a deep-cover CIA operative.
A CIA agent tasked with, what, stirring up trouble?
Possibly. Integrating into different political groups, fringe groups, and causing havoc. Sowing dissent, spreading disinformation.
All right.
It sounds like a spy novel, but his actions were certainly erratic enough to fuel that kind of speculation.
But then in the late 60s, he takes a more public, political turn. back in Tacoma.
Right. He starts hosting this right-wing radio talk show,
Yeah.
uses a pseudonym, John Gold, and he just rails against the local
And he
government.
wrote a book, too.
He did. Self-published. The Murder of a City, Tacoma. It's been called this weird, politically slanted rant. But it wasn't just about local potholes. He connected supposed local corruption to everything. Communist plots, infiltrators, and even the Kennedy assassination. He saw these vast, interconnected conspiracies everywhere.
Wow. But despite all this fringe activity, the fake doctorate claims, the fiery radio show, he somehow gets involved in actual city governance.
Isn't that bizarre? The mayor appoints him to the Tacoma Public Library Board, and he later gets elected vice president of the board.
How does that even happen?
It's baffling. It shows this strange duality. He's simultaneously this public figure in a respectable role and this fringe agitator pushing conspiracy theories. He could clearly operate in different worlds, a real chameleon.
Okay, and this brings us to probably the most explosive connection in Crisman's story, the assassination of President John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, this is where Crisman steps onto the biggest, most tragic stage. He gets subpoenaed by Jim Garrison,
The New Orleans district attorney who was convinced there was a conspiracy behind JFK's death and famously prosecuted Clay Shaw.
That's the one. And Garrison brings Crisman into it. Reportedly, Crisman was the very first person Clay Shaw called after he was arrested by Garrison.
The first call, that definitely raises eyebrows.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And Garrison didn't just think Crisman knew something. He apparently pegged Crisman as one of the actual shooters, one of the trigger men on the grassy knoll.
Whoa. From UFOs to being accused as a JFK assassin, that's staggering.
It is. It puts him right in the crosshairs of one of the biggest mysteries and traumas of the 20th century.
But like everything with Crisman, the accounts conflict, right? It's not clear-cut.
Not at all. Other theories put him at Dealey Plaza, but maybe as a radio operator coordinating things. Some even claim he was one of the three tramps, those figures famously photographed near the assassination site shortly after.
What did Crisman himself say?
Well, in his own book, That Murder of a City rant, he claimed he knew nothing about any conspiracy. And his actual testimony to Garrison, if he gave substantive testimony, wasn't made public.
And official investigations.
The House Select Committee on Assassinations, later on, looked into it. They concluded that while Crisman did resemble one of the tramps physically, their analysis showed he was not actually one of them and wasn't in Dealey Plaza that day.
So officially cleared on that specific point, but the suspicion lingers because of Garrison and the Shaw connection.
Exactly. The association stuck. And then you have theories trying to tie it all together.
Like the one from Ken Thomas's book connecting Maury Island, Boeing, and JFK.
Right. That theory revisits the idea of Crisman having ties to Boeing, maybe through that Maury Island cover-up we discussed.
Okay.
And it points out that shortly before Kennedy was killed, he made a major decision on a huge defense contract. He awarded it to General Dynamics instead of Boeing.
So the theory suggests Boeing, or factions within the military-industrial complex connected to Boeing, were furious about losing that contract.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And if Crisman was some kind of operative or disruption agent with links to that world,
Then maybe he was activated, involved in a hit motivated by corporate or military-industrial anger?
it's highly speculative, of course. It's connecting dots across decades and huge events. But it attempts to provide a motive, linking Crisman's shadowy past to the ultimate political assassination. It paints him as potentially a pawn or maybe a willing participant in a game played by very powerful forces.
It's quite a leap, linking a potential UFO cover-up to the JFK assassination via a defense contract. What's the logic supposed to be there?
Well, the logic, as Thomas and others laid out, isn't necessarily direct causality like UFO led to JFK. It's more about Crisman's role. If he was involved in Maury Island as a cover-up for Boeing, it establishes him as someone trusted, or at least utilized, by elements within that military-industrial sphere. He's someone who operates in the shadows, handles sensitive, possibly illegal tasks.
Okay, so he has a certain skill set and connections.
Exactly. So if powerful people connected to Boeing felt intensely aggrieved by JFK's contract decision, a decision worth billions, affecting thousands of jobs and strategic power, they might look for deniable assets to carry out extreme actions. Someone like Crisman, already compromised or experienced in covert ops, could theoretically be tasked, pressured, or paid to play a role, whether it was coordination, communication, or something more direct. It's about him being the type of person who might be called upon by such forces, given his alleged history.
Got it. So the link is Crisman himself as a potential operative.
That's how the theory attempts to bridge the gap. It's less about aliens and more about earthly power, money, and Crisman's alleged place within those hidden networks.
And Crisman's story, incredibly, doesn't even end with his death in 1975. His shadow lingers.
It really does. Particularly through this figure, Michael Reconociuto, the electronics guy we mentioned earlier.
The one who claimed Maury Island was a Boeing craft.
Yes, and who apparently helped Crisman with electronic surveillance, maybe sweeping for bugs, maybe planting them. Reconociuto himself becomes a central figure in a massive scandal in the 80s and 90s, the Inslaw case.
Inslaw. That involved stolen government software, right? Promise.
That's it. A hugely complex case involving allegations that the Justice Department stole this powerful database software, maybe modified it for spying, and distributed it globally. It's tied into intelligence agencies, arms dealing, all sorts of shadowy stuff.
And a journalist died investigating it.
Danny Casolaro. He was investigating what he called the octopus, this sprawling network connecting Inslaw, Iran-Contra, BCCI, maybe even Crisman's old circles. Casolaro died under very mysterious circumstances while deep into this investigation.
And Reconociuto, Crisman's old associate, was a key source or player in all that.
He was. He made numerous claims connecting these different threads. And significantly, he's the source for that claim that the Maury Island object was Boeing's, even supposedly providing a diary from Crisman as proof, though the diary's authenticity is debated, like everything else.
So Crisman's ghost, or at least his alleged secrets, keeps fueling conspiracies decades later.
It seems so. And his influence pops up culturally, too. Crisman apparently believed the 60s TV show The Invaders was based on his life.
Seriously, the one about the guy hunting hidden aliens?
Yeah. And much more recently, in 2022, there was an animated comedy film called Fred Crisman, Cave of the Space Nazis. It even won an award for Best Comedy.
Cave of the Space Nazis. Okay. His life story clearly still inspires some pretty out-there interpretations.
It absolutely does. It's just too strange not to capture the imagination.
So we've gone from WWII heroics to subterranean robots, UFOs, men in black, plane crashes, political agitation, the JFK assassination, government software scandals, all revolving around this one enigmatic figure, Fred Crisman.
It's an extraordinary trajectory. He really does seem to be at the epicenter, or at least on the fringes, of so many critical, bizarre, sometimes tragic moments. Alien encounters, government ops, the ultimate American conspiracy theory. His story touches them all. He's like a Forrest Gump of the paranormal and conspiratorial.
So, after digging through all this, what does it mean for us, for you, listening? Crisman's life forces you to confront some tough questions, doesn't it? About truth, about memory, about how disinformation gets deliberately seeded and spreads.
Absolutely. He wasn't just caught up in things. He often seemed to be actively shaping the narratives, blurring the lines himself.
It makes you really think about that thin membrane between what we dismiss as wildly improbable and what unsettling possibilities might actually be hidden just beneath the surface of history.
And Fred Crisman was a master manipulator of that membrane. He left this legacy that's just so tangled, so ambiguous, that we're still debating it, still trying to interpret it decades later. His life reflects our own fascination with secrets and our anxiety about hidden power.
Maybe consider this. If one person's life can intersect with so many pivotal, mysterious events and generate so much lasting speculation, what does that suggest about the hidden currents flowing beneath our official histories? How much are we really willing to question the stories we're told?
And maybe the more unsettling thought, like, how many other Fred Crismans might be out there, operating in the shadows, influencing events in ways we don't even realize?
Definitely something to chew on.